A week-long severe weather event is about to take shape, and it is all thanks to this copious moisture that's going to make its way northward all week long. You can see the showers and thunderstorms anywhere from the northern plains to the east coast that are going to come day by day with multiple fronts. This video's got the details on everything you need to know on severe weather and more, so stick around.
One Nation Weather.
Thanks so much for taking time out of your day to watch my latest video. Don't forget that the awesome weather model maps that I use throughout the intros to my videos and the videos themselves are from WeatherBell, so if you want their free trial link, it is below in the description so that you can access them too. Also, I just want to say thank you to every single one of you who has gotten me to this big milestone of 5,000 subscribers with my most recent video. Your support on my passion is so awesome, and I would love to see more of you subscribe too if you're new to the channel after this video. Let's go ahead and get right into it though with those temperature anomalies for the week ahead, and why I'm showing you temperatures first instead of the usual future radar. The temperatures are directly affecting exactly what is going to occur with our future radar, so I want to show you exactly what these anomalies are going to be as we start out the week. Going into our Monday, August 26th of 2024, notice how warm it is going to be in some parts of Nebraska, Iowa, Minnesota, Wisconsin. Temperatures anywhere from around 5 to 15 degrees above normal for this time of the year. Meanwhile, moving in from the west there in some parts of the Dakotas, around 10 to 15 degrees below normal. And when you get that kind of contrast, that's when you get storms to fire up right on that boundary. This week is going to have a lot of those kinds of boundaries. Tuesday, we'll see more of that going into the Midwest and Great Lakes. Here we go into our Wednesday, zooming in on our anomalies that we're going to be seeing then into the afternoon and evening to support our storms. Warmer than average through most of the eastern two-thirds of the country, but we're going to have a little bit of that cooler air moving in from the southern parts of Canada and out of the Mountain West. That's going to help to support some fronts in this general vicinity. That's going to support some storms into the afternoon and evening hours each day. Notice the blues and the reds. They're definitely going to be combining all week long to form those big storms. Let's start out with our Monday on that future radar to give you a look at where we're going to see these storms day by day. Here we go into our Monday evening. You can see showers and storms are going to be quite abundant, or at least scattered about at the minimum here across the north central part of the country, from Montana and parts of eastern Wyoming all the way over here to Wisconsin. We're going to have a little bit of a horizontally oriented front, bringing storms that will likely move from northwest to southeast across the region, firing up late Monday into our Monday evening. Damaging winds, hail, even the potential for a few tornadoes will definitely be in these zones, particularly there in South Dakota and into southwestern Minnesota. I'll dive into more details on that in just a minute, but that is just the start to an active week that we're going to have. Going out of Monday into our Monday night and into our Tuesday, notice how things really change by Tuesday evening and into our early Wednesday. We see that front really shifting east, so the storm chances move out of the Dakotas, and we start to see them really extend all the way as far east as Maine with that horizontal front. The best chance for severe weather of this corridor here, late Tuesday heading into our early Wednesday, will likely be, you see some of those greens in Wisconsin, northern Illinois, into northern Indiana and southwestern Michigan, right around in that area where we're going to have some of the most instability for severe storms to fire on up. If we get storms in Iowa and Missouri, those could also be on the stronger side at Tuesday going into our Wednesday. That's definitely not the end of that front. We're still going to have it lingering around. In fact, let me zoom in on it so that you can see exactly where we're going to have the potential for at least a few storms late Wednesday. X marks the spot right, and I'm marking those spots where we could at least see a few isolated storms that could be on that severe side firing up late Wednesday, August 28th. Also, we're going to have a new area of low pressure firing on up there in parts of Montana into the Dakotas and Minnesota. That could bring at least some isolated severe storm coverage there late Wednesday into our early Thursday as well. Any of those spots where you see the X or in surrounding areas, you need to be on higher alert Wednesday evening for some severe storms. We could even have some carrying overnight into our early Thursday morning. Speaking of Thursday, that low that's going to be up there in the Dakotas and Minnesota on Thursday, it's going to be seeing more of a vertical front that's going to extend as far south as the Central Plains into our Thursday evening. Look at this around 11 p.m. Thursday evening, this particular model at least, showing storms from Wisconsin, Michigan, parts of Illinois, and Iowa, all the way as far back to the southwest as the panhandle of Texas. This will be our second severe weather event for many parts of the northern plains into the Midwest and Great Lakes, coming out of Wednesday into Thursday and Friday, depending on the timing. Speaking of Friday, here we go into our late Friday, August 30th. Notice where that front is likely going to be extending from somewhere around Michigan all the way back here to Oklahoma and Texas. Now, we're 5 days out from this, so the exact location and timing of these storms is a little unknown, but anywhere from the Ohio Valley through some parts of the mid-Mississippi Valley back to the south central plains, definitely watching you for some showers and thunderstorms, some of which could be severe late on our Friday. And then as we head through our Saturday, August 31st into our Sunday, September 1st, a lot of the eastern United States will be active. I'm going to go day by day, giving you a look at where we're going to have the best chance for severe weather. Use those timestamps in the description if you want to skip ahead to a specific day and time. But here we go towards our Monday, August 26th, 2024. I want to start with that day since it's the closest. My ONW severe scale, a level 1 to level 7 severe weather scale, scale, as high as a level 3 and a 4 across a pretty broad zone of the north central United States, as pockets of severe weather are likely Monday. The first area focused there in the northeast, you see that zone, and then the other one centered on that zone I just mentioned in the northern plains. Both areas will have a chance for damaging winds and hail, with those threats being most elevated in South Dakota and Minnesota, of course. Notice that orange area, that's where we're going to have that best chance for those particularly intense gusts of 70 plus miles per hour, some large hail 2 inches in diameter, and maybe even a few tornadoes. Even in the yellow, we'll be watching out for you there. So let's take a look at the ingredients that we're going to have going into this threat as we go into our Monday evening and where the bullseye threat is going to be. You can see why I've got the yellows and oranges for our severe weather threats over this area into our Monday evening, because we're going to have such immense storm energy moving northward. This is such an intense pocket of heat, of moisture. We're going to have jet stream energy that's also going to overlap with this. So if you live in northeastern Nebraska, into northern Iowa, western Wisconsin, southern and western parts of Minnesota, we've got southeastern South Dakota. These are going to be those areas where I'm particularly concerned late on our Monday. And here's the jet stream energy that's really going to overlap with that. Remember, for jet stream setups, you want to be on the southeastern side of a trough or a dig in the jet stream for you to have that best chance of severe weather. And right there, you see that bottom arrow that I just drew. On that tip of the arrow coming out of South Dakota into Minnesota, you are on that southeast side of a trough. You see those greens just to the west. That's that stronger jet stream energy pulsating through. I'm definitely worried about the storms that could develop here. We could have multiple clusters and maybe even some MCS or mesoscale convective system type clusters with damaging winds, hail, and a few tornadoes moving over that region Monday. Now, as we go into Tuesday, at least some level of severe weather threat is expected to extend from Nebraska all the way over to the New York State region. An advancing cold front and associated jet stream energy could support multiple clusters of mainly damaging windstorms. Here we go again, Tuesday afternoon, evening, and night. Areas from Iowa to Michigan could see this coverage if it develops in the very hot and unstable environment. So a level 3 of 7 for scattered damaging winds, isolated hail, and brief tornadoes has been put into effect. You see those yellow areas if you live there, or even in the dark green. Prepared not only during the day Tuesday, but also into Tuesday night. Remember, you can get nighttime storms, especially the later you go into the summer, so don't be surprised if we get some rumbling and lighting up those night skies, say midnight Tuesday night going into our Wednesday. But of course, that highest storm energy is going to be there 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 o'clock into our Tuesday afternoon and evening. You can see Iowa, Illinois. That's where the peak energy is expected to be, at least according to this particular model. But we're definitely going to have enough of it moving up into some of those yellow zones of northern Illinois, into parts of Wisconsin and Michigan to get some severe storms rumbling. That's why I've got the level 3 of 7, because it's a little bit more conditional, as the ingredients aren't quite lining up as much as our Monday threat is. But we've still got that, the moisture overall in the right zone, and we've got this jet stream energy that's going to be riding right over the threat zone, right? I'm circling the level 3 of 7 zone, or overall roughly where it is for our Tuesday. And look at that, the jet stream energy. Remember, you want to be on the southeastern side of those pieces of energy. That's exactly where you're going to be if you are in any of those level 3 zones for our Tuesday evening. So be prepared. The damaging wind threat should be the main threat. Some hail and tornadoes also possible on the secondary side of things. And as we go into Wednesday, the threat is not going to end. We'll continue to see that horizontal front move eastward. So anywhere from around southern Maine back over here to Wisconsin and Illinois on my severe zones graphic, where I kind of predict where I would put different levels on my severe scale. I've got a level 2 of 7 down if you see those dark green areas for our Wednesday. That means isolated severe storms can at least be anticipated here, and of course other areas could shift into the higher confidence zones eventually too. Then if you go up there into the Dakotas and Minnesota, we've also got a dark green area up there that you can see on the map. That is our next front that's eventually going to be more vertically oriented once it kind of extends southward from our low pressure system. You can see the system that's going to be up there, Montana into the Dakotas, really getting itself together by the time we go into our Wednesday evening. On the southeast side of that energy, as well as just on the southern side of all this jet energy we're going to have across the northern United States. That's why we've got that broad level 2 of 7 that's probably going to get placed down at the minimum here. All this jet stream energy working over the same areas means that we're going to have repetitive rounds of those severe storm chances. Not everyone's going to get it every day, but definitely Wednesday could be one of those days where over a broad area we've got that isolated coverage at the minimum, extending anywhere from, say, southern Maine back to the Dakotas and Minnesota. Stay alert and keep an eye on the forecast if you live in those areas. And of course, we're going to see new areas get in on the severe weather from that next low pressure system. It's that U-shaped trough. You see it up there on this ensemble group here. So just a collection of models being blended together, showing us that as we go out of Wednesday into our Thursday, we're going to notice this energy working its way from Montana all the way as far east as Minnesota, and of course the southeastern side of jet stream pieces of energy. This is probably the 3rd or 4th time I mentioned this in this video, right? That's where you tend to get severe weather to set up. So this is the zone that I'm overall thinking is going to have the best chance for severe storms by the time we go into our Thursday with this kind of setup. It's where I showed the future radar showing those storms earlier in the video in the overview. So anywhere from Wisconsin, the upper peninsula, Michigan, back down here to around Oklahoma or the northern panhandle of Texas, you need to be on alert, and of course in areas in between as well. By Friday, we've got all this energy extending from Montana all the way down here now to Michigan, and the southeastern side is where we're going to have that best chance for severe storms. We could have another one of those broad risk type of days where several spots are at least in that level 2 of 7 on my ONW severe scale, from maybe Oklahoma all the way as far east as New York State and Pennsylvania. Definitely a very active week. And let's take a look at Thursday and Friday's severe zones graphics, where I'd put down those level 2 of 7 risk zones on my ONW severe scale. For Thursday, that old horizontally oriented front could still be bringing some storms here into the mid-Atlantic, so I've got a level 2 probable there. And then back out here into the central plains, the northern plains, and into the upper Midwest, also a level 2 of 7 being anticipated for my severe scale for Thursday, August 29th, going into early Friday, August 30th. And speaking of the 30th, let's go ahead and jump into that. With that severe zones graphic for the day, you can see from Oklahoma and Arkansas over to the Carolinas with that old front, and then with some of the new frontal energy moving into the Midwest and Great Lakes, we're going to have quite the broad region to probably pinpoint exactly where those highest threats are going to be as we get closer to the event. Definitely monitor that forecast for later this week if you live in any or around any of those areas where I just put the dark greens down on screen. Now, let's go away from the greens of precipitation and turn to the reds and blues of temperature anomalies. I showed these graphics in my last video, but I still want to bring them out and show you where we've got the ridging, or the temperatures around 10 to 15 degrees above average on Monday. That's going to be here from around Oklahoma all the way up to around Wisconsin and Michigan, of course, supporting that severe weather threat as well in the Dakotas and Minnesota, as that cooler air is going to be bumping into those areas from the Mountain West as the week goes on. By the time we go towards Friday, notice we're going to have cooler air in a lot of the northwestern United States, but down here in the southeast U.S., we're still going to have enough warm air to work with to where we're still going to be watching severe weather heading eastward towards the East Coast Friday, Saturday, Sunday. If there's another storm system behind that, I'll be tracking that one too, and it could bring severe weather. Anywhere you see those gradients of those blues and those oranges where we go from the cooler to the warmer conditions, that's where you certainly have to have that highest level of confidence in the severe weather most days. And it really works out like that this week, and that's what I wanted to point out to you throughout this video. I hope you caught on to that. Now let's take a look at exactly how these anomalies are going to play out with exact temperatures into our afternoon and evening hours, starting with our Monday, August 26th of 2024, those forecast high temperatures from the National Digital Forecast Database. 90s and triple digits up here. Texas, Louisiana, as far north as southern Minnesota, southern Wisconsin, and southwestern parts of Michigan. It is going to be intense heat, especially really surrounding that mid-Mississippi Valley region, really in the bullseye. St. Louis, Missouri, you could be near 95 to 100. All of those boxed areas, that's where there's a record high being projected, and we could certainly see a lot of those into Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, parts of Kentucky, and Tennessee into our Tuesday, August 27th. I wouldn't call this a relentless heat wave because it is going to be shifting further southeast day by day as that horizontal front moves in from the north. Notice by the time as we go out of Tuesday and into Wednesday, I'm about to flip it here, you can see a lot of the northern United States is starting to feel relief, while areas here in the southern United States actually start to pick up with the heat. Kind of a middle ground zone there through parts of the Midwest and Ohio Valley Wednesday going into Thursday. By Thursday, we're really going to notice that contrast from where we've got that cooler air banking in from the north supporting those fronts, and then we've also got that warmer air to the south. We've got 90 to 100 degree heat here anywhere from Illinois and Missouri down here to the Gulf Coast. Meanwhile, we've got 70s up here in parts of the Dakotas, Minnesota, Wisconsin, into Michigan, all the way as far east as Maine. By the way, I want to point out, you can see that horizontal front there in the Great Lakes and Northeast. You can see that vertical front moving through the plains by Thursday going into Friday. A lot of low 70s and 80s across this region by Friday afternoon as we start to feel the decency that can come behind a cold front this time of the year. An average cold front. This isn't an intense one where we're going to see temperatures down into the 60s and 50s. We might see some of those at night. It's just not going to be like that during the afternoon hours in a lot of these spots. Still pretty warm down here in the Ohio Valley and Southeast Friday afternoon, but even by the time we go towards Saturday, we could start to see temperatures cool down there. I'll keep you updated on everything with the weather ahead if you want to subscribe to the channel down below. Like I said earlier, I appreciate every single one of you who watches these videos. If you hit that like button, leave a comment down below. It means even more to me when you bring up that viewer to creator interaction. That's it for this one. I'll see you right here in the next one.
One nation weather.